Greetings, one and all. Today we're going to be talking about how to go about playing 3v3 Grand Arena on a small account. So I am going through this from the perspective of my small Gotenks account, 3.5 million GP right now, and that's a lot bigger than a lot of accounts. I know that, but the things I'm going to be talking about today should apply to pretty much any account that's mostly facing accounts that are substantially larger than them, because that is the case for most of Grand Arena, unfortunately. Because even when you go down to Carbonite and Bronzium, there's a lot of players that are enormous, and you have to know how to handle that. Sometimes you're going to have even matchups, but if you're routinely facing just accounts that are a lot smaller than you are, you're probably not optimizing your approach to it. So things we're going to be talking about today is compositions, determining that, offensive versus defensive strategy and approach, and scouting. So let's start with scouting. And my opponent for this upcoming match is Maldeathmough. They are 7.5 million GP, a lot larger than I am, more than twice my size, and they have 2 GLs. I have 1 GL, so I do have actually a tool to work with. If you have an account that doesn't have any Galactic Legend, it makes things even harder, and there's some matches where you just shouldn't even bother like trying hard at all, because it's just like, if they attack, you're gonna lose. If they don't attack, that's the only condition you're gonna win. But this player is substantially out muscles me in every way, shape, or form. 2 GLs, they got Bane, they got Great Mothers, they got Starkiller. They have all kinds of tools at their disposal. But I really still need to scout them on Swigga.gg. So you go to your profile on Swigga.gg. So this is Gotenks GC bracket compared to my opponent here. So I pull them up and go to their history just to see what they're like in Grand Arena. So right here, the first week of Grand Arena, they had 2 matches where they just did not attack. They posted 0. They didn't even get rewards for Grand Arena. So right there, it tells me I have a chance to win just by them not attacking. Even in 5v5, there's tons of matches where they just didn't attack. And normally I would try to scout what happened with their matches in the current season. But as you can see, there's not much info to go on here. But one thing that you need to know about these lower league players that are larger than they should be in those leagues, like this player should probably be in at least a Rhodium with their roster. They don't change their defense up much. So I can go back to the 3v3 before this current season and look at where they had a lot going on. So this has 840 on each side. So there was a lot of attacks in this match. So I'm going to go here. And like I said, these players don't change up their defense too much. So right here, I see they set GL Ray, set a Zori team, a Rex team, Queen Amidala, Newt, a bunch of stuff. All pretty strong teams, but we only see 1 GL. So for me, as an account with 1 GL, I have a chance to clear them. And in general, my approach, my philosophy for a Grand Arena being like a much smaller account is to go full offense. So on defense, I do not have much strength set. I'm gonna show you all my squads ranked from like best to worst for 3v3 for me, but I do not have my best foot forward when it comes to defense, because I do not think I can stop this player in any way, shape, or form. So I just don't think they're gonna get past me, and I need to set 2 fleets on defense and 2 on offense. So I set my 2 worst fleets on defense just to have something there, and then on offense I have my 2 best ones available, which is Negotiator and Chimera, or Galactic Republic and Chimera. A lot of times I do use Endurance. So yeah, I went ahead kind of empty defense, not empty, but like these are my bottom 10 teams. I need 10 teams on offense and 10 teams on defense, and at least 10 teams on offense if I do want to clear. So what you can do, and this is what I did, you can rank all your teams for yourself in order of how good they are. So let's just go through. This is my roster split up into 3v3. So just an overall look at the roster first, and then we'll look at the comps. I do have a fair amount of relics. I have not bought any Lightspeed bundles. I haven't bought anything on the account. It's all just like what I've chosen to work on. So I have a fair amount of relic characters, not many full relic teams, but I do have a lot of relic characters. I don't have many Datacrons because I don't have any full relic squads. But anyway, so for my 3v3 comps, I have my 1 Galactic Legend, Leia, and she's probably the best. If you're gonna have one, she's probably the best one to have in 3v3 for sure. And I don't have to make a decision about the 4th and 5th. So her team is a nice nuclear core of R2 and Drogon. And in 5v5, I have to make decisions of whether I pull good characters from other teams or if I use kind of crappier characters to put with her in 5v5. But in 3v3, I can just pick it like this. And then one of the important things about 3v3 is having multiple different leaders that can run things. So here are my Jedi. I have mostly Galactic Republic Jedi built up for ships and other reasons. I have not built my roster with 3v3 in mind. That's just something you need to know. I haven't built it with 3v3 in mind, but I do just try to make the best of what I have with the way I've built my roster. So Qui-Gon gets Anakin and Ahsoka. Anakin's the main thing here with Qui-Gon just because he's big damage. If I had Ki-Adi-Mundi, I put him here, but I'm probably never going to get him. So I have Ahsoka there. And then for second Jedi team, now that I have them all in relics, I have a lot more confidence in this Revan team. But Revan, Yoda, and Mace Windu, they can swap back and forth a lot. Mace Windu swaps with Yoda as a Galactic Republic character. They can mark people down, dispel stealth, a lot of good stuff there. And then I have Savage Press, Trey, and Nihilus. So for a while in Bronzium, this would be like my lone good defensive team because there are a lot of players I'd face that I knew would have trouble with it and couldn't beat it. Now that I face players like that just have multiple GLs all the time, I don't really have any true hope that this can get a hold. So I just bring it on offense because I want to make sure I clear. 5 through 8 teams. CLS, this is going to be another example of splitting a team. So I do have the core standard CLS team that includes Han and Chewie, and then these 3. But in 3v3, you got to break it up. In a common team in the higher leagues as well, 3PO and Chewie and C3PO with CLS and get a lot done. And then for Han and Chewie, I actually have them with a non-themed leader with Thrawn, because Thrawn doesn't fit well into my Empire team in 3v3, and he's just a pretty good plug-and-play character. Another option would be General Kenobi, which I am not using with any particularly compelling comp, but I could put him in there as a tank. So it just depends, like what I want to do with the team. So that's an interesting team that I have to split. And as I aforementioned, Empire. For me right now, I don't have Star Killers. The core is Palpatine, Vader, and Mara Jade. Mara Jade just works so well with Emperor Palpatine. I can't really justify swapping her out unless it was a very specific purpose where Thrawn would be best, and I don't really need all the Terminator generation she has. Darth Revan, this is actually getting better and better because I just recently relicked him, so maybe he would be my 5th or 6th best team. So I don't have Malak. I don't have a full Sith Empire team. In 5v5, I would have a 4th and 5th Gear 1 level 1 Sith Empire team just to make sure that this clause of his leadership is active. 50% crit damage for our Sith Empire allies. And then Wampa. And then rounding out my top 10, Captain Rex, and 5s. Bad Batch, and then the Empire, or Thrawn Han Chewie, like I talked about. So this is just my philosophy currently. I am facing players way better than me, but a lot of them don't set all their GLs on defense. So I do have a hope of clearing, and I'm not going to stop them in general. So I just put whatever's left on defense. Probably not Bossk. I don't think I put Bossk on defense because this is nice for a cleanup of a lone, strong character that's left over, like a Malak or something. So, I mean, this is just my individual roster. Everyone's roster is going to be different, but you want to take, even though you're not trying to have the best defensive team, you want to put the scraps that are at least coherent. Like my Imperial Troopers, Gear 10 and 11, I don't think they're going to get much done, so I put them on defense. Iden Versio, I have her built up just for her ship, and I don't really have a full team for her. These 2 scout and range go with this in 5v5, and it's a lot more coherent. But in 3v3, I gave her the Omicron just for 3v3 and slap our 7 scout trooper there. Ewoks I got for the Leia farm, so that's a coherent team. I put them on defense altogether. Rolo, Captain Soul, and Lando. Again, farmed for Leia and they're in relics, so I just set them. Geos, I don't recommend most people go for Geos anymore, but I have them, so I'll put those 3 on defense. I am going to be farming Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan more, but since they all are Gear 9, it's at least a coherent team, so I set it. Phoenix, not the best in 3v3, that's why I put Captain Rex with the clones, but they are Gear 12, so I just set them. And then Boushh is farmed for Leia as well. And I have a low gear Boba Fett, and since a lot of Bush's kit is premised on having a full Hut Cartel team, I just threw Cad Bane in there because he's Hut Cartel, and that activates a lot of stuff. And it's just something that I don't know, they might slip up on it. Maybe if they go 10 teams deep, maybe it's something they won't have. And then the final team, just Bastila with General Kenobi and either Hermit Yoda or Jolee. I'm not sure which one is best, but it's premised on the fact that General Kenobi is pretty tanky, and if they don't have any offense to give, they might get stuck on him just having such a high health and protection pool and bonus protection pool. So that's how I approach breaking it up. And who knows? I mean, a lot of times I see a lot of comments on my matches. Sometimes I win, and sometimes it's a player that's not insanely enormous, not like 10 million people. Oh, that's not fair. All my opponents are 10 million. Well, every league is like that now. Every league you're facing outsized opponents, but the reason they are there is because they lost a lot. So you might win due to no effort of your own or no planning of your own, and you might win just because you might actually win because of the approach you take. If your opponent's careless, let them attack first. If they're careless and drop some banners, go in on offense with everything you have. Maybe you'll clear, and maybe you'll get the win. That's just kind of my philosophy for it. So here I am watching my own video. Actually, I have the sound off, and you're going to see two mouses because this is just me talking about what actually happened in the match. So the opponents was a lot larger than me, 18.2 million GP. They had 3 GLs, tons of stuff. And they did attack, so when they did get in, they had killed 2 of my zones. For some reason, I don't know why, they just killed 2 zones and then they just left it. They never came back, but I did go through and just do my best on offense and take things down. There was a Jedi Knight Luke team, and you really have to carefully measure out who you're gonna attack with what, and look it up on Swigga.gg each matchup if you want to. So, for instance, I knew I needed to save Leia for a GL, and everything else was pretty much open season for what we're gonna do. And here you can't stun Luke, but they were really slow. My opponent had everything really slow. I just tried to ability block everyone, loop around, make sure no one could do Luke's special. And then get a train going with Mara Jade and all that. So, and this one worked pretty well. Let me just put this on fast forward. Let's do 2 times speed. So this one worked pretty well. You can't stun Luke, like I said, but he can get tons of debuffs and just knock him out. So 66 there. So we got JML and we got Queen Amidala, or Padme Amidala. So JML, I was like, okay, I want to play more of the land game because I can get more clears there. So I won't go for the top. So I just use Leia on JML. And I'm not going to give like strategy tips for each and every matchup, but just going through all the decision making for this match, just to help go through a real example. This one is more fresh in my mind, so picking this one. JML is one of the easier GLs to handle on defense because you just kill his sides and he can't really do anything. His whole power is, call it like anyone can be called to assist and do tons of damage. If you kill them, then yeah, it's easy to take out. But without a GL, it's pretty hard. Relic, Darth Revan, Bastila, and Watt can kind of do it. But it's tough. Next, I chose for Padme. She penalizes out-of-turn attacks and hard to crit her, but you need to do a lot of damage because she is pretty healthy. So I picked Captain Rex, or the Rex team, because Rex will eventually get to his aerial advantage, which does tons of damage, and I'm not relying on attacks out of turn or crits or anything. It's just true damage that happens no matter what. So it was a pretty effective choice. I got the sacrifice, and at this point I was just like waiting to get through. Then we're going to see the back. And on the small account, I have a lot of experience in the game, so I don't always take a break to look up all counters. But on my main account, I do. So over here, I just kind of had to look through and think of, okay, what is best for each team? And they're not all super strong. So for that Sith team, I think I ended up doing Bad Batch because they start with some buffs and they do counterattacks. So I use Bad Batch to get Daze out there, prevent the counterattacks, prevent the turn meter, and Bad Batch can just really get going here. But when you're really small, like my account, you really have to make solid choices everywhere. Like, look for the best team and either try to attack all the best teams from the top on down using your best teams, or pick specific matchups that make a lot of sense. So this is a Geonosian Brute Alpha. It's not super fast. My Darth Revan was still Gear 12 for this week. But I know that Darth Revan with Bastard Sean and HK, you can get a lot of fear going around, and then the staggers are also going to be really useful. So you see there, the fear had expired on everyone, and the stagger was there. HK was able to hit all of it. And yeah, if this was a full Relic Geos, I probably would not use this team. But yeah, as it stands, it was just enough. And I really have to, trigger the death mark there by hitting under full health, full protection, or under 50% health. So, I mean, this match is a good example of, large accounts. They have a lot of strong stuff, but they're not always putting everything down good. So here, this is kind of an odd team. They don't always make sense. Like Darth Vader leading Revan and Malak. If there is a good team like this that just has a really good opening set, that's another tactic. You can send in a burner team. So, with Darth Revan, I know Qui-Gon can handle it pretty well, but it can't handle getting AoE fear right away. So I sent in that bad team, and that was faster than I can even cover it. I sent in a bad team, let them absorb the hit, and then Anakin was fine to come in later, because all Revan had was his AoE shock, which is not as impactful as AoE fear. Revan, Mace, and Yoda is one of my favorite teams right now, because you just have a lot of control. Revan has lots of control inherently. Yoda goes through tons of turns. Revan and Mace both have turn swaps, so Mace can swap turns if you have the Zeta with a Galactic Republic ally, which Yoda is, and you just start running circles around people. And Revan gives you a way to get around taunts too. And then you have tons of foresight, because Mace gets foresight all the time, and so does Yoda. So it's pretty awesome. Last one, HK. This one's not super threatening, and I don't. Should I use Wampa? I didn't need Wampa anywhere in particular, but I guess I didn't use them. I decided to go with Bounty Hunters here because there's no tank on the other side. If it was kind of a standard Separatist droid team and they have Magna Guard, I wouldn't be able to get to B2 or B1, but since B1 is always the weakest, it was easy to get Contract there and then take out Droideka. That's the only real threat. HK-47, unless he's under Darth Revan lead, not a threat. So Bounty Hunters, I don't normally have tons of faith in. But they work there. So this was my last ditch attempt. I knew this wasn't going to work, just because Whirlwind is so powerful. There's no way I could really survive it. But I just threw this in just for entertainment purposes, even though I knew it wasn't going to work. So yeah, just took out the whole team. I don't have a very developed trade team yet. And then the one last team I liked. This is Thrawn, Han, Chewie. I'm glad to put it on display. Just kind of target the characters that's the most of a threat, biggest threat to you. Han and Chewie have a lot of stuns, and then Thrawn can put a fracture on someone that you're not controlling with stun and hold on to that for a while. And the nice thing in 3v3 for Chewbacca is everyone gets guard. You bring in Han, he gets the guard, and then it's the weakest other ally, which is whoever it is. So if you brought in General Kenobi, like I mentioned as an option before, that would be great too, because he's a strong tank. and he's getting guard, so he can't be crit or dazed or stunned or anything. And then I just did some futile attempts on Ray. But yeah, there's just one match. I mean, it's hard to like encapsulate every match in a video like this, but just going through one to share my thought process, how I handled it. And this player, it's not that they didn't attack at all, it's just they attacked some. I don't know if they thought that was enough and I wasn't going to be able to do anything, but I kept enough on offense where I was able to get a higher score than them, just because they never came back to it. So I won 924 to 839 here, even though they were much larger than me, so you never know. And I think that's it for this video. That's mainly the concepts I wanted to communicate. I mean, it's not like I've distilled into a perfect science, but that's just my thought of how to go through. Hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed, and see you later.